Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 16th. This is the Cluster API office hours. Thanks for joining us. As always, please follow the meeting etiquette. Use the raise hand feature of Zoom if you'd like to speak, and I'll make sure to call on you. And if you want to bring up any new topics, edit the agenda to add your item on this document. If you don't have access, make sure you join the SIG Cluster Lifecycle mailing list. This is Cluster API is a sub-project of SIG Cluster Lifecycle, so we make sure to follow the CNCF code of conduct. So yeah, let's get started. And also, if you can, please add your name to the attendee list right here. So let's start with, I don't think we have any PSAs, but let's start with a release check-in. And so I don't think there's any release blocking issues, but we should have the etcd update in here probably. Nadia or Vince, do you want to talk a bit about that and where we're at?
Yeah, I'll talk about it. So Kubernetes 1.22, they've updated the etcd client to version 3.5. It brings in mostly a lot of gRPC updates. We did briefly run it on test, but it failed on upgrade test. And upgrading to the main branch of Kubernetes. So just need to investigate that and find out why it's doing that. Is it a cluster API reason? Is it a Kubernetes version thing? Is there something we need to do in the etcd management? Yeah, the worst case scenario is that this is we don't have forward compatibility, but I doubt that that's the case. So I don't think there's anything too concerning here at the moment.
Okay, and Vince, are we waiting for this to merge for the next beta release, or?
I think it makes sense to wait and test this, or we could just do it like another couple of betas if that's better. But I'd rather bump this definitely before 0.40 is cut, so that, because it's a pretty big bump in gRPC dependency as well.
Yeah. Someone pointed out in the chat that it might fail because of some controller runtime issue. Oh, okay, so maybe something to look into.
This test is actually not using mtest. So these are tests, they're like end-to-end tests. The mtest tests were actually passing. So yeah, sure. We'll have to check that as well, I guess.
Okay, and then in terms of beta releases, do you think it makes sense to cut another beta right now, just since there's 55 commits to master since the last one, just so we can get providers a bit more testing time before cutting the actual release, if the etcd one is the last one we're waiting for?
I think so, yeah. Let's cut a beta 1 and then we can merge the etcd change, and then we can cut a beta 2 and then RC, and then.
Yeah. I mean, about half of those are the merge commits, but still it's about 20-ish commits. Okay. That sounds good. And then Nadia, are you on point for investigating the etcd? Do you need any help with that?
No, I'll report back tomorrow probably.
Okay, cool. Any questions from anyone? Any concerns from any providers or anything about the etcd update or the release in general? Okay, if not, let's move on to our only discussion topic. Dane, go for it.
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of bump this issue, get it in front of some eyes, get some people talking about it. We talked about it a while back, and so there's a few different opinions or approaches that could be taken here. we have since had reason. I had some resistance early on to creating machine resources with nodes associated with the machine pool, and there are still some challenges around that, either Event Bridge or polling the API or something along those lines to try to get that information backfilled. But there's definitely some operational benefits there, especially with regard to like deleting a bad node or making them work with things like machine health checks. Are the main use cases that I've seen come up more recently. I don't think that there's other aspects that were in this issue that were raised, things like kind of allowing it to roll out similar to like a machine set and things like that, and that I don't think aligns well with the principle of the machine pool. But I do now believe that the machine resources are definitely useful here. So I just kind of wanted to bring this back to the surface and see where people were thinking and how we might start actually turning this into an issue or a design that we could actually start developing toward.
Yeah, so I bet David wants to talk about this. Yeah, David, go for it.
Hi, thank you for bringing this up, Dane. I don't have the PR in quick grasp, but we just introduced Azure Machine Pool Machines. That's kind of redundant and repetitive, but yeah, and this is kind of the next step for us, or at least in thinking, is kind of reflecting that machine, because we ended up going through the process of writing coordinate drain in Azure Machine Pool, which is just, it's not super effective, right? And it would be so much cooler to bring those features upward. I am more than happy. I would like to start working on a proposal for something for machines. I think this next week. I think we're about ready. So I'd love to work with you or anybody else on this.
Mike?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that we would probably need this if we ever want to build an abstraction so the machine pools can plug into the cluster autoscaler, because cluster autoscaler wants to be able to delete like specific machines associated with specific nodes or whatever. So yeah, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think that's what we had in mind as well. Dane, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I think so. Currently we're using cluster autoscaler with just the cloud provider. So it's draining and it's coordinating and draining, and then calling the terminate instance call directly. So we don't have, we're not suffering any pain on that front. That works really well. But the aspect that we are suffering from is the lack of machine health checks, because that is not necessarily visible to the cloud provider. It can't see that a node has gone not ready, especially if the VM itself, as far as the cloud provider is concerned, appears healthy. The other one being like manual operator intervention. For whatever reason, occasionally operators decide to delete machines, and that's actually a lot harder in a machine pool, because now they have to write a little script that cordons and drains and calls the cloud provider instead of the nice consistent delete machine like we used to have. So happy to work with you. I think it sounds great, and I think this will all work a lot better.
Awesome. I've assigned both of you. Then I think next step is probably proposal, and hopefully we can get that in for the next API version, and then think about moving machine pools out of experimental. Great. Any other thoughts on the topic? Questions? Comments? All right, and I think that was the only agenda item. Any last minute agenda additions? Anything else anyone wants to bring up or talk about, or any general questions about the project? Okay, I guess that was a short one. Just before we conclude, we usually give a bit of time at the beginning or at the end for anyone who's new to the project or new to the meeting and wants to say hi. So if that's your case and you've joined us for the first time and you just want to say hello and tell us who you are and what brought you to Cluster API, I think now would be a great time. So I'll just mute myself and feel free to unmute and say hello. Awkward silence. Okay, I guess this is it for today. No one's new. But thanks all for joining. Great to see you all, and we'll talk to you on Slack and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.